Welcome to this Tutor to You sociology topic video on demographic trends in the UK, focusing on the impacts of globalisation on family. Globalisation has been one of the motors of significant social changes in the last 30 years. It has economic, political and cultural impacts on society, but has also influenced the family unit, particularly in the UK. One of the features of globalisation has been the increased migration from one country to another, and this greater geographical mobility has impacts on the structure and organisation of the family in the UK. It changes the way in which individuals work and communicate with one another, and impacts on where and how we live in the 21st century. Not only has globalisation changed the way we live, but has also increased family diversity and shaped our sense of identity. Sociologists are interested in the impacts of globalisation on the UK family. One of the most prominent impacts of globalisation on family life has been the increased international geographical mobility. While many have focused on immigration into the UK, significant numbers of UK residents, particularly young families, have left the UK in order to seek out job opportunities overseas. According to the Home Office, in 2012, nearly 150,000 UK nationals, mostly in the 25 to 44 age group, left the UK to work overseas, with 36% of these being classified as professional or managerial occupations. We can argue that globalisation has led to greater migration of middle-class families to other nations, which has impacted on those that have been left behind, usually grandparents and extended family. A less obvious impact of globalisation has been changes in employment and how this has impacted on the relationships in families. Since the early 1980s, there's been a decline in employment in manufacturing sectors, the traditional male jobs such as car manufacture, mining and steelwork. This has changed the employment sector in the UK, with the Office for National Statistics reporting the largest sectors for employment in the UK as being retail, health and social work and administrative positions, which highlights a feminisation of the workforce in the UK. This impacts on the family by changing gender roles. With more dual earner families and 75% of mothers working, this impacts on the domestic division of labour and decision making in the family. However, it can be argued that males do still retain most of the economic power in the family, and that gender roles remain quite fixed in some social classes and across different generations. Another impact of globalisation has been the different types of families. With greater ethnic diversity has come greater family diversity, as cultural differences in family structure and organisation become more apparent. From census data from 2011, we can see that people from Asian backgrounds are less likely to live alone than other ethnic groups, with around a third of other ethnic groups living alone. White and Asian families are more likely to be in marriages or cohabiting than other couples, whilst the number of households that identify as lone parent households differ across different ethnic groups. However, we have to be careful not to make assumptions based upon these statistics. For example, many Black African and Black Caribbean families are seen as lone parents, but may be in visiting relationships or fall into the category of living apart together, being in a relationship but not living in the same home. One of the more noticeable trends in family diversity is the increase in lone person households, and part of this is caused by migration. With young professionals and students migrating to the UK, these are often living alone or in shared accommodation. With over 217,000 student visas granted in 2018, this leads to a greater demand for student flats and one-bedroom apartments. Overall, couples still remain the most dominant form of relationship despite migration. However, the structure and organisation of these families will vary greatly. In recent years, there has been an increasing trend for multiple household families, particularly when migrants from one nation join their family in the UK. However, this is a very small percentage of the overall household share. Sociologists are also concerned about the impact of globalisation on the family unit. With migration, there is a movement away from extended family networks as people look for job opportunities overseas. This can lead to isolation for some older family members. However, another aspect of globalisation, increased technology, has led to the birth of a global modified extended family. Cheaper air travel and communications, software such as Skype and Zoom mean that people can keep in contact with one another despite being thousands of miles apart. The changes to employment brought about by globalisation has also had a knock-on effect on the division of labour, which, whilst it still remains unequal, males are doing more and women are doing less than they once did in terms of unpaid labour. Males are completing on average of 16 hours of unpaid labour a week, and females on average 26 hours. Ragaram and Errol found that the increased family diversity brought about by globalisation has led to the development of migrant identities in the UK. Some sociologists have researched specific communities such as the Caribbean communities in London and found stronger ties to their homeland as a result of being away from home, trying to keep the traditions of their home islands alive. A second impact has been the growth of trans-localism, with people developing ties to more than one geographical area. For example, white British emigrants may still have ties to family in the UK despite being based in another area. This too is common in Asian, Caribbean and African communities, with movement from one area to the other at frequent intervals. Finally, Castles and Miller stated that migration had become a common feature of 21st century society, and it's accelerated as a result of globalisation, which has led to a greater diversity in society. That concludes this Tutor to You Sociology topic video on demographic trends in the UK, focusing on the impacts of globalisation on family life. Thanks for watching.